Then Judah approached him and said, "If you please, my lord, may your servant speak a word in my lord's ear, and let not your anger flare up at your servant. For you are like Pharaoh. My lord has asked his servant, saying, 'Have you a father or a brother?' And we said to my lord, 'We have an old father and a young child of his old age. His brother is dead, he alone is left from his mother, and his father loves him.' Then you said to your servants, 'Bring him down to me, and I will set my eye on him.' We said to my lord, 'The youth cannot leave his father, or should he leave his father, he will die.' But you said to your servants, 'If your youngest brother does not come down with you, you will not see my face again.' And it was, when we went up to your servant my father, we told him my lord's words, and our father said, 'Go back, buy us some food.' We said, 'We cannot go down, only if our youngest brother is with us, then we will go down, for we cannot see the man's face if our youngest brother is not with us.' Then your servant, my father, said to us, 'You know that my wife bore me 2 sons. One has left me, and I presumed, alas, he has surely been torn to pieces, for I have not seen him since. So should you take this one too from my presence, and disaster befall him, then you will have brought down my hoariness and evil to the grave. And now, if I come to your servant my father, and the youth is not with us, since his soul is so bound up with his soul, it will happen that when he sees the youth is missing, he will die. And your servants will have brought down the hoariness of your servant our father in sorrow to the grave. For your servant took responsibility for the youth from my father, saying, 'If I do not bring him back to you, then I will have sinned to my father for all time. Now, therefore, please let your servant remain instead of the youth as a servant to my lord, and let the youth go up with his brothers. For how can I go to my father if the youth is not with me, lest I see the evil that will befall my father?' Now Joseph could not restrain himself in the presence of all who stood before him, so he called out, 'Remove everyone from before me.' Though thus no one remained with him when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. He cried in a loud voice. Egypt heard, and Pharaoh's household heard. And Joseph said to his brothers, 'I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?' But his brothers could not answer him, because they were left disconcerted before him. And Joseph said to his brothers, 'Come close to me, if you please.' And they came close, and he said, 'I am Joseph, your brother. It is me, whom you sold into Egypt. And now be not distressed, nor reproach yourselves for having sold me here. For it was to be a provider that God sent me ahead of you. For this has been 2 of the hunger years in the midst of the land, and there are yet 5 years in which there shall be neither plowing nor harvest. Thus God has sent me ahead of you to ensure your survival in the land and to sustain you for a momentous deliverance. And now it was not you who sent me here, but God. He has made me father to Pharaoh, master of his entire household, and ruler throughout the entire land of Egypt. Hurry, go up to my father and say to him, 'So say your son Joseph, God has made me master of all Egypt. Come down to me, do not delay. You will reside in the land of Goshen, and you will be near to me, you, your sons, your grandchildren, your flock, and your cattle, and all that is yours, and I will provide for you there. For there will be 5 more years of famine, so you do not become destitute, you, your household, and all that is yours. Behold, your eyes see as do the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that is speaking to you. Therefore tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and all that you saw, but you must hurry, and bring my father down here.' Then he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. He then kissed all his brothers and wept upon them. Afterwards his brothers conversed with him. The news was heard in Pharaoh's palace, saying, 'Joseph's brothers have come.' And it was pleasing in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants. Pharaoh said to Joseph, 'Say to your brothers, do this, load up your animals and go directly to the land of Canaan. Bring your father and your households and come to me. I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you will eat the fat of the land. And you are commanded to say, do this, take for yourselves from the land of Egypt wagons for your small children, and for your wives transport your father and come. And let your eye not take pity on your belongings, for the best of all the land of Egypt, it is yours. The sons of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons by Pharaoh's word, and he gave them provisions for the journey. To each of them he gave changes of clothing, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of clothing. And to his father he sent the following: 10 he-donkeys laden with the best of Egypt, and 10 she-donkeys laden with grain, bread, and food for his father for the journey. And he sent off his brothers, and they went. He said to them, do not become agitated on the way. They went up from Egypt and came to the land of Canaan, to Jacob their father. And they told him, saying, Joseph is still alive, and he is the ruler over all the land of Egypt. But his heart rejected it, and he could not believe them. However, when they related to him all the words that Joseph had spoken to him, and he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to transport him, then the spirit of their father Jacob was revived. And Israel said, how great! My son Joseph still lives. I shall go and see him before I die. So Israel set out with all that he had, and he came to Beersheba, where he slaughtered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. God spoke to Israel in night visions, and he said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, here I am. And he said, I am the God of your father. Have no fear of descending to Egypt, for I shall establish you as a great nation there. I shall descend with you to Egypt, and I shall also surely bring you up. And Joseph shall place his hand on your eyes. So Jacob arose from Beersheba. The sons of Israel transported Jacob their father, as well as their young children and wives, in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to transport him. They took their livestock and their wealth which they had amassed in the land of Canaan, and they came to Egypt, Jacob and all his offspring with him, his sons and grandsons with him, his daughters and granddaughters, and all his offspring he brought with him to Egypt. Now these were the names of the children of Israel who were coming to Egypt: Jacob and his children. Jacob's firstborn, Reuben. Reuben's sons, Hanoch, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. Simon's sons, Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, son of the Canaanite woman. Levi's sons, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Judah's sons, Onan, Shelah, Perez, and Zerah. But and Onan had died in the land of Canaan, and Perez's sons were Hezron and Hamul. Isar's sons, Tola, Puvah, Lov, and Shimron. Zublin's sons, Sered, Elon, and Jalil. These are the sons of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob in Padanaram, in addition to Dinah, his daughter. All the people, his sons and daughters, numbered 33. Gad's sons, Ziphion, Hagi, Shuni, Ezbon, Eri, Arodi, and Areli. Asher's sons, Imnah, Ishava, Ishiv, Beriah, and their sister Serah, and Beriah's sons, Heber and Malchel. These are the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban had given to Leah, his daughter. These she bore to Jacob, 16 people. The sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph and Benjamin. To Joseph were born in the land of Egypt, whom Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, chief of On, bore to him, Manasseh and Ephraim. Benjamin's sons, Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gerah, Naaman, Ehi, Rosh, Hupim, and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel, who were born to Jacob, 14 persons in all. Dan's sons, Hushim. Naphtali's son, Jazel, Guni, Jezer, and Shelin. These are the sons of Bilhah, whom Laban had given to Rachel his daughter. She bore these to Jacob, 7 people in all. All the persons coming with Jacob to Egypt, his own descendants, aside from the wives of Jacob's sons, 66 persons in all. And Joseph's son, who were born to him in Egypt, numbered 2 persons. all the people of Jacob's household who came to Egypt, 70. He sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to prepare ahead of him in Goshen, and they arrived in the region of Goshen. Joseph harnessed his chariot and went up to meet his father, Israel his father in Goshen. He appeared before him, fell on his neck, and he wept on his neck excessively. Then Israel said to Joseph, "Now I can die, after having seen your face, because you are still alive." And Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, "I will go up and tell Pharaoh, and I will say to him, my brothers and my father's household, who were in the land of Canaan, have come to me. The men are shepherds, for they have been cattlemen. Their flocks and cattle and everything they own they have brought. And it shall be, when Pharaoh summons you and says, 'What is your occupation?' then you are to say, 'Your servants have been cattlemen from our youth till now, both we and our forefathers,' so that you may be able to settle on the region of Goshen, since all shepherds are abhorrent to Egyptians." Then Joseph came and told Pharaoh, and he said, "My father and my brothers, their flocks, their cattle, and everything they own have arrived from the land of Canaan, and they are now in the region of Goshen." From the least of his brothers he took 5 men and presented them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to his brothers, "What is your occupation?" They answered Pharaoh, "Your servants are shepherds, we as well as our forefathers." And they said to Pharaoh, "We have come to sojourn in the land, since there is no grazing for your servants' flocks, for the famine is severe in the land of Canaan. Now, if you please, allow your servants to dwell in the region of Goshen." And Pharaoh said to Joseph, saying, "Your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Egypt is before you. In the best part of the land, settle your father and your brothers. Let them settle in the region of Goshen. And if you know that there are capable men among them, appoint them as chamberlains over the livestock that belongs to me." Then Joseph brought Jacob, his father, and presented him to Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Jacob, "How many are the days of the years of your life?" Jacob answered Pharaoh, "The days of the years of my sojourns have been 130 years. Few and bad have been the days of years of my life. They have not reached the lifespan of my forefathers in the days of their sojourns." Then Jacob blessed Pharaoh, and he left Pharaoh's presence. So Joseph settled his father and his brothers, and he gave them possession in the land of Egypt, in the best part of the land, in the region of Ramses, as Pharaoh had commanded. Joseph sustained his father and his brothers and all of his father's household with food according to the children. Now there was no bread in all the earth, for the famine was very severe. The land of Egypt and the land of Canaan became weary from hunger. Joseph gathered all the money that was to be found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan through the provisions that were purchasing. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's palace. And when the money was exhausted from the land of Egypt and from the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph, saying, "Give us bread. Why should we die in your presence? For the money is gone." And Joseph said, "Bring your livestock, and I will provide for you in return for your livestock if the money is gone." So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in return for the horses, for the flocks of sheep, for the herds of cattle, and for the donkeys. Thus he provided them with bread for all their livestock during that year. And when that year ended, they came to him in the next year and said to him, "We will not withhold from my lord that with the money and flocks of cattle have been exhausted to my lord. Nothing is left before my lord but our bodies and our land. Why should we die before your eyes, before we and our land, both we and our land? Acquire us in our land for bread, and we, with our land, will become serfs to Pharaoh, and provide seed so that we might live and not die, and the land will not become desolate." Thus Joseph acquired all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for every Egyptian sold his field because the famine had overwhelmed them, and the land became Pharaoh's. As for the nation, he resettled it by cities, from one end of Egypt's borders to the other. Only the land of the priests he did not buy, since the priests had stipend from Pharaoh, and they lived off their stipend that Pharaoh had given them. Therefore they did not sell their land. Joseph said to the people, "Look, I have acquired you this day with your land for Pharaoh. Here is seed for you. Sow the land. And the ingathering of the harvest you will give 1/5 to Pharaoh. The other 4 parts shall be yours. a seed for the field, and food for yourselves and for those in your household, and to feed your young ones. And they said, You have saved our lives. May we find favor in your eyes, my lord, and we will be serfs to Pharaoh. So Joseph imposed it as a statute till this day regarding the land of Egypt. It was Pharaoh's for the fifth. Only the priest's land alone did not become Pharaoh's. Thus Israel settled in the land of Egypt, in the region of Goshen. They acquired property in it, and they were fruitful and multiplied greatly.